So this imposter syndrome, we have a lot of women who have to let it out. And when you do things together with other people, is much more exciting. I mean, doing things alone, it's very boring.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of the Sprezzatura podcast. And today we have with us a great friend that I have not met yet until today, Cristina Salvador. So welcome, Cristina. You're the founder and the CEO of both Communications and People. But more importantly, you're our first and only guest this episode who's actually from the city of Barcelona.
Only until now, I'm sure.
Until now, and we're going to grow more, of course, but for this week at least. So tell us more about, your beginnings in Barcelona.
Okay, I was born in Barcelona more than 50 years ago, a bit more than 50 years ago. Barcelona, for me, it's a city that has a lot of light, very much connected to the sea, to creativity, to arts, and to the world. I mean, it's a very cosmopolitan city. My parents were, people who loved books and traveling, so they kind of inspired me curiosity and knowing a lot about other countries. I went to a German school, which is very close to my little city, close to Barcelona, which is Esplugas. So my whole life has been very, very international. And I love to have a lot of connections and travel a lot. So my starting as a kid was, making a lot of questions. Maybe that's why I studied journalism after finishing school. And then international studies. And then I was working for an NGO, the Carreras Foundation. And very, very soon I just started my own company, which is 25 years ago. And it's a consultancy in communication and people. And we help companies just evolve in, cultural transformation, which we love.
So starting a company at 25 is
26.
25, 26, and it's already, a big step. Doing it around the year 2000 must have been also quite an interesting time to start a company. What do you want to tell us about that?
I think it was very unconscious. My father was a small entrepreneur, so I think I had this kind of spirit at home. And I was working in the José Carreras Leukemia Foundation, so traveling a lot abroad and, working with arts and with health, which are two matters that really are very important to me. And I just had the feeling I could help, other organizations and companies doing my work. And I started just, people say, how brave? And I say, no, how unconscious. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just testing and I was just trying. It was an A/B testing thing. And it was January 2000. So 25 and a half years ago. And just by testing and, trying things, we just got until now. Yeah. And we still test and try things. You never know if you're, absolutely right about something, but the important thing is to try.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the uncertainty that fuels a lot of us as well.
And testing and trying as well. What was it in your childhood, would you say, that gave you the courage to continue to test and try and build up that intuition that, if I keep doing something new, then the world won't end?
Very good question. I don't know, but maybe the love that all my family gave me and maybe no boundaries, everything was possible. And maybe the absolute trust of, our parents, our grandparents, of whatever we did was okay, right? If it had a good intention. So we didn't receive many punishments or super boundaries. Of course, the minimum ones you need to be safe, yes.
Sure.
But not many more. So we were very much, kind of invited to try things, to ask questions and to read a lot. My family was very, connected to the arts family.
Do you find, we had a different speaker talk about the importance of support networks and who she surrounds herself with, Fiona, who I believe you met recently as well. Do you find that having this support network in your earlier days with your family, you're very intentional about curating your friend group and your community around you throughout your life, now 25 years later with your company? Like, it's the company that you keep important to you and who they are and with these shared values? Or it sounds like you have a lot of friends.
I have a lot of friends who I dearly love. And I think support networks are absolutely necessary, because if you think you do things alone at life, you're very wrong about this. No one is, an absolute hero on anything. No one knows, everything. So you need to have a lot of people around you that help you do your thing. And when you do things together with other people, it's much more exciting. I mean, doing things alone, it's very boring. I remember in the pandemic, some of my friends, how good I'm at home here, alone and concentrated. And I said, I'm really a person. I really need to be surrounded by people. I need to co-create things with people. I also love my time of concentration, of course, and full attention. But I think it's very important to always have people around who know from people and from very different people. So this is when we have to try to hack our biases. Because normally we tend to be with people very, similar to us, close to us. And my whole life, I've been trying to be with very different people, than myself. So I love to be with people who challenge the way I think, or challenge my ideas, or, think differently, eat differently, speak differently. I love that. When I see something different, I normally like it.
So it's, first it was the environment when you were growing up that was, open to trying and maybe making mistakes and learning from them. Now we talk about the diversity and closeness of people, but what is also your ideal environment for you to create or to perform? How do you like to surround yourself in that moment?
My ideal environment is working with people who have, of course, we all have fears, but who kind of prioritize curiosity instead of fear, right? We all have fears, of course, and resistance to change things, and we all in a sense are a bit conservative, but I tend to enjoy people who challenge what they do every day, who try to do new things, who are not self-compliant, and who have very kind of intentional conversations, important questions like the ones you're placing now. It's not just small talk. So I like this. I like, very creative ambiance, people, challenge.
And it's clear also in the name of the company that, it's both, it's commerce and it's people.
Yeah.
So that element is very strong. Anyway, so how do you do it? Because I faced this problem. Sometimes I was the cause of it, but also many times we're surrounded by so many smart people who have a lot of experience, and then who can tell you 100 reasons why something will not work.
Yeah.
The fear can take over. So how do you balance that and, actually, convince everyone that, okay, let's take that risk?
I think we have to listen to all fears, because all these 100 reasons are knowledge.
Yeah.
And this knowledge is very important. So if you deny the knowledge and just say, I'm not going to pay attention to all your reasons, let me just, jump in, you're missing a lot too. So we have to listen to fears, because fears are normally connected to commitment, to knowledge, to experience. And to understand and listen to that is very important. You don't have to deny it. You always have to kind of, listen to it, admit it, and embrace it. And after embracing that, okay, fine, you tried that 100 times and it worked that way. What if we just change it a bit and try it another time? Because, this serendipity of trying new things brings a lot of new experiences, and maybe not the solution, but different paths of trying things. But for me, the idea is not jumping in something new, denying the old, or denying what was done until now. I really praise a lot knowledge and experience, and I love to talk to very, very wise and old people. I love it. When I was a kid, my grandma was helping home for elderly. And I love to go there and listen to their stories. I spent hours just listening to the stories of very old people. So I love that. I love to, listen to stories and listen to experience and listen to knowledge. But this is not a boundary to try new things. This is, the basis. Knowing things helps you, try to find out.
And I think older people particularly, actually, they then realize that it's okay to do a mistake. It's okay to cross, because they know what they have learned throughout life.
To challenge people is not telling them they are not right. It's telling them you are right. And
how do we deal with it?
And we can try something new.
Yeah.
From your experience, we can try something new. Our name, both the name of our company, came because society is very polarized. Things are white or black. Things are, you either try A or B. And normally the answer is not one or the other. The answer is, in the middle, in the negotiation, in the mediation, in really putting things together in common and then finding a new way. So when someone asks you to choose between A or B, you say, there are many more letters, right?
Yeah.
So that's the
compromise.
The meaning of both.
Yeah.
And
I'm always curious about the actual practice of people like you who have those internal conversations and can move themselves forward to try new things, face fears, hold multiple perspectives at once before making a decision. But are there any particular exercises you do with your team or, the folks that your clients even who might be a little bit more familiar and set in one way and are resisting to try new things? Because I'd like for our audience to be able to, put that into practice in their own spaces. Because I think anyone listening to us holds a similar perspective as you or gravitates towards that feeling of understanding and gathering knowledge. But how do they translate that to other people?
Okay. In my perspective, we have very, very good advantage as consultants. When you're a consultant, you experience many realities of different companies. So we are working for hospitals, for NGOs, for governments, for big companies, for smaller familiar companies with very different realities, very different organizational models, very different employees, and very different challenges. So when you have a lot of very different projects at once, this lateral thinking is kind of natural. You're, in an ambiance where you have a lot of different, perspectives, challenges, stories. So I always thought, for me, it would be very difficult now to only work for one company and only just go deep with one company, one environment, one, team. I love to change, and the perspective of experiencing very different realities every day is a gift. That's one thing. The other thing is really with your team challenging constantly. I mean, we get this proposal, RFP, and we have to just submit an offer. Okay, why don't we do that? Okay, that's a very good point. Could we do something different? Is there another possibility? So it's not only just, being okay with the first possible answer, but it's kind of, exploring different possibilities. So, and this from a positive perspective, not from the perspective you did wrong or this is not enough, but maybe just exploring things. And also, as a consultant with a client, normally a client has, a challenge and comes to you, I need, a solution. And maybe he doesn't need a solution. He needs another, question, another mindset, another, So also through the conversation, challenging the root cause of what's happening, it's very interesting, right?
And also being a journalist with your background of asking questions and questions is such an asset in the consulting world.
Yeah.
Because the root cause of what may be at the surface is maybe not the,
the symptom, the real thing that's happening.
And so having multiple clients, as you do, from different sectors, how do you keep up to date? Already this is a variety of lateral, but then also the world is moving forward, especially in our area of work. So how do we keep up to date? How do we keep ahead of the curve?
By reading a lot, listening to many people, talking to many people. One thing that I really praise a lot is full attention. I mean, I see now a lot of people just running and doing a lot of work, but not really learning. So I remember when I was very young, 21, and started working at the Carreras Foundation, was working very close, had a mentor, was a doctor, very important doctor, Cyril Rothman. And he once said that a good doctor always, attends patients, so is working with patients, doing clinical work, doing research and teaching. So if you do clinical work, research and teaching, you're a good professional. Otherwise, you're not.
Yeah.
And this is something I always, carried within me. In my professional life, I have to be, very close to clients, and I have to listen to clients all the time and talk to them a lot. I have to research. If I do not research, I do not have an added value for them. So you always need to know a bit, not more, but different things, new things that are happening that can bring new solutions. And then I teach a lot. I do a lot of, in company and also students. I love it because when you teach, you have to learn a lot because there are so many questions, you don't have answers. And for me, teaching is a way of learning.
Absolutely. And regarding the learning part as well, are there good research? Are there good resources? Do you have a go-to source or method to learn? I know we're all very busy, so how do you squeeze that
I
in?
do a big mix. I do a big mix by research. I read a lot.
Yeah.
So every day, minimum half an hour of reading new things. Then every year, I do a focus on something.
Okay.
So last year, for example, I did a focus on sustainability. So I did a short program of Cambridge on sustainability. This year, I'm doing a focus on artificial intelligence. So I'm doing, short program, not that short. So it's every Friday from, 4 to 8 p.m.
Oh.
So after a long week working and traveling, 4 to 8 p.m. in the evening on Fridays, I do this course. I try to do it also, if possible, sometimes online, very international, and sometimes, being present, because being in a classroom as a student, with other people, it's something that I really praise a lot for networking, for talking to them, for doing some, some teamwork. So I try to do a lot of, different courses every year, one thing, deep dive, and then just reading randomly.
Are there materials that you gravitate towards? Like I know, Ziad, you like Wired and Financial Times, Monocle, podcasts.
I think we have the same references. And of course, also a lot of things about, people, organizational models, all of that. So I try to read, I read a lot. I cannot sleep without reading at least 3/4 of an hour. So, and I read paper because I really need to just touch paper,
Agree.
Forget about screens, right? So when I read this half an hour, I read every day. It's just when I'm traveling or I'm podcast, and it can be a screen. But before I sleep, it's
paper.
Half an hour, mostly 1 hour of reading paper. Love it.
And
do you also
profound
take
reading.
Notes on the side? Or
No, not in bed. I take notes because in bed I try to read things that are really more nourishing soul, not only work things. So I do not take notes. I take notes now, for example, when I just read these articles, and then I take notes and I save them. But when I read in bed, no paper, no pen, no highlighter.
Just the pleasure of the book.
Just pleasure, concentration.
And the teaching part, as you said, you do a lot with the customers, I'm sure, and also with the team.
Yeah.
But for somebody who would like to learn a little bit from you, are you do you mentor? Do you give university courses? How do people access you?
I do lessons at university. I do mentoring sometimes for social startups. I do a lot of things. I do a lot of pro bono things, which I love, mostly connected to social impact, culture, many times to arts. So yes, I do a lot of things with associations. I try to help whenever I can.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love the Gen Z.
I do too. We had this conversation where
super challenging how they think, how they feel, their commitment. Some people say they're not committed, and I say it's the most committed generation. It's just a different approach to commitment. So I love their creativity, their guts, and I love to be kind of close to them,
and
to
they
learn
question
from them.
and they question and they have the resources to go and seek out those answers.
Well, it's the most kind of illustrated generation. They have all the information, ready for them and available. And also they have, for me, a big concern with attention, right? Because of social network and this very speedy way of, consuming information, that sometimes they do not connect with the deep, critical thinking. For me, it's a very, very interesting generation to challenge them in a way, from my perspective, and to learn from them. and the many things they can teach us.
How do you access the Gen Z other than through your daughters?
My daughter is Alpha, not yet Gen Z.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a very late mother, but Gen Z with by teaching, and of course we have a lot of Gen Z also at work.
At work.
So it's like 4 generations working together, and I love it.
That's great.
I love it. I love inclusion in all senses. I mean, kind of, gender and ages and culture capacities and everything. I mean, to work with very different people, it's very, very,
So
rich.
reading, learning, researching, teaching, and working, and it's a very, very busy job. I know because I work with Eduardo, who introduced us from your team, and I know for myself how busy our space is. So what happens outside of work?
I mean, when your job is your hobby or your vocation or the sense of your life, it's kind of very difficult to put boundaries because it's really your, way of feeling. But when I'm not working, I love nature, I love arts, I love family, friends, and I have a lot of quality time for them. Maybe not a lot of hours, but quality time. So, for example, when I get home and I open the door, there are no, nothing else that can bother my time with my daughter. So maybe I come very late and I only have 1.5 hours with her, 2, but this time is only for her. Conversation and playing and, eating together and going to bed together and just reading together. We read every night together. Nice. When she sleeps, I go to my bed and I sleep myself, my own thing, but I sleep. I read with her every day when I'm home. So I have a lot of very quality time with family, friends, nature. I need nature. Yeah. I mean, concrete for me, it's a bit too much when I'm, too often in concrete. I need my time. In fact, I live very close to Barcelona, just 1/4 hour from Barcelona, but in the nature.
Yeah. And that's true. And Barcelona has that privilege, I think, that we are backed, by the Cosmopolitan.
You have the sea, you have the mountains,
and the two rivers. I mean,
we are very lucky here. Yeah.
And that's one topic that we are seeing, on each episode, and that also, Radin is visiting us in Barcelona for the whole week when we're recording this season. And the question is, how do you define that certain magic of Barcelona? Especially you being from here.
I mean, Barcelona, for me, as I told you at the beginning, is pure light. And we need to kind of, make that light very bright. Because Barcelona has, the Mediterranean light, has very long days in the summer, has this culture of living in the street, of meeting people, of touching people, has very, very good gastronomy and has very nice places around. So you have very nice mountains, lakes. You have the Pyrenees where you can go skiing. You have a coast that is magnificent, the Costa Brava, and the one in the south. You have a Delta del Ebro, which is, 2 hours away from here, which is also a terrific space. So it's very, very kind of, it has a super diversity in terms of, landscape, in terms of food, in terms of culture. It's a very rich culture. And I think what I like most from Barcelona, in my way of thinking, as I told you, I went to German school. My husband is Belgian. I have a very, international community here. What I love is this openness of embracing, everyone. And it's a very familiar culture. It's not, for example, some of the cultures are more open. I go to Madrid every week, and Madrid is super open, and you're always welcome. And, even they don't know you, you just, maybe Barcelona is not that, open at the beginning, but it's, in my opinion, it's for real, and it's curious, and maybe a bit more shy, laid back, but then very true and very kind of loyal. So, I love Barcelona because for me, Barcelona is a cosmopolitan city, embracing a lot of cultures, welcoming a lot of, people from all over, and with the wonderful light and landscape and people and way of living, The way of living in Barcelona is very, I mean, I have a lot of friends who came from many countries, many different countries, and they never leave. And my husband, I sometimes tell him, I would love to just move out for some years somewhere else. And but Chris, where will we find a place, with everything we have here? And I
So
say,
you've
okay,
never
but we
been
have to change.
tempted? You travel a lot.
I travel a lot. I
And
love
so you get a
traveling.
flavor of every
Yeah.
place. There's no flavor that you wanted to let linger a little bit longer in
All
the
of them.
world?
All of them.
Oh, that's what maybe the decision's
them.
so difficult.
All of them. Some people tell me, which are your favorite countries? And that's a difficult choice because I love so many countries. I mean, wherever you go, you find very nice things and very lovely cultures and, food and landscapes.
But I find what's really interesting is there are times when you meet people and they're like, well, I didn't like X city, right? And then you'll ask them, how did you experience that city? And they'll tell you how they did, and it's in a very limited way. And we're like, well, there you go. That's why you didn't like the city. Did you go here? Did you go there? What I find interesting as you're speaking right now is, and it's clicking for me, is that perhaps maybe when you have a love of knowledge and your travels take you to all corners of that city and what it has to offer, arts, literature, food, this, that, you fall in love with it. So if somebody wanted to come to Barcelona, let's say that Ziad 5 years ago, as he was exploring his options to move his whole family here, how would you guide them to fully feel, appreciate, and understand Barcelona?
I would say for someone who comes to any city, the most important thing is not to compare. So when you move out and you go somewhere else and you try to compare the place with your own experience, your own previous living, this is not a good thing. For me, it's like, it's an open book and just explore the thing. Do not compare, do not tag, do not anticipate, do not just, some people stick to the first impression. Maybe the first impression, the first streets you saw were not that clean. Or, the people were very loud. The people are loud in Barcelona. Yeah. So I mean, just do not stick to the first impression. Really, I mean, because some people really have a first impression and they stick to that their whole life. And they've been living here for 10 years and they still say the same as the first week. And I said, you really didn't, evolve with your impressions on the city. So for me, it's open book. Don't compare, don't tag, just really, melt into the experience of the city. And then what I always say, you need to be with local people.
Yes.
You need to melt with local people. I have a lot of friends who come from abroad and they only meet with their own people in Barcelona. Because in Barcelona, you have all nationalities and all possibilities to have your own kind of, environment. But this is not rich. You need to really melt with locals and talk to locals. And the language is important here. So just learn some words. Hello, good morning in Catalan. And just, learn how to, do some things of the food here. So melt with the local culture. Don't just, try to keep what you had before in a different environment. Why that?
My experience is that Barcelona makes it very easy. I mean, I haven't lived in European cities. I lived in the Middle East and Lebanon and the Gulf. But, having something like San Jordi, you cannot but experience it. The concept of a calçotada, you cannot but, you have to do so kind of Barcelona.
Calçotada is very shocking.
Yeah, and but it embraces it, makes it easy to understand the city. It's not a city that's guarded.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for people like us working in the creative field, it's a lot of pressure being in Barcelona. We have to carry, a flag. It's positive, I think, for our branding that we are from this wonderful city, but, we have lots of influences from here, Gaudi and the modernism and other... So how does this transpire in your work, especially when you do work outside of the city?
How does the influence of
where does the influence of Barcelona show in your work?
Good question.
And then we'll talk about the work that you do in the city, because that's also very important.
Yeah. I don't know if my work could be kind of tagged as Barcelonian. Barcelona is very connected to design, for example. So this aesthetic feeling of, having things put in a beautiful way, maybe. Though aesthetics is not really my very big thing. I'm more into the knowledge thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love when something, is, placed in a very nice way. So aesthetics sometimes can be Barcelona. Maybe Barcelona for me is more a mindset of, interculturality, of curiosity, of this, city connected to a harbor, to the sea, very close to France. And I don't know if there's it's a very good question.
Maybe
Kind of Barcelonian stamp in the work we
probably
do. I don't know.
It probably shows in the DNA of the
People tell
company.
me I'm very global. They couldn't place me somewhere. A lot of when I work with people abroad, because maybe I went to an international school, I have been working with very international companies. But maybe there is. I have to think about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good
And
question.
One of your next projects, while you think about this one, maybe for another session we do together, one of your next projects is a very important project that is really linked to
the city.
what defines the brand of the Barcelona city, other than the football club, maybe. So
has defined the generation after generation of
so maybe
more than 140 years now. Yeah, we've been working for 8 years now for Sagrada Familia, the big masterpiece of Gaudi. For me, this is really a purpose project. It's more than a work, I love the concept of cathedral thinking, right? When, architects were dreaming about their cathedrals and designing how they would be, like Gaudi with Sagrada Familia, they knew they wouldn't see them finished. So Gaudi was spending the last, more than 10 years of his life just only working for the Sagrada Familia, just avoiding any other project, international project, rich projects. He said no to everything and devoted his life to this church, to the Sagrada Familia. So a person that could really, really say no to everything, focus, all his life and all his talent into one thing, knowing he wouldn't see it finished. I mean, it's so generous. It's so amazing. And for me, being able to just help, small contribution in communication, in the event, in designing, help the culmination of the dream of a genius is a blast.
And the impact goes beyond the cathedral itself. So I don't
It's
know
an
why.
icon of Barcelona. It's really, the big tower that's going to be finished now, the Tower of Jesus, is going to change the skyline of the city. It's going to change the image of the city abroad. And when people think of Barcelona, look here, when I saw it, they see the Sagrada Familia. It's a huge icon and it represents a lot. It represents arts. It represents a connection with spirituality, whatever you believe or think. But it's for me, it's a real pleasure and an honor to work the project like this.
And it pulls that light in that we keep talking about, the Barcelona
It's a cathedral
light.
of light. Sagrada Familia is really light.
It really focus.
You have to be there at sunset and see how.
You have to be there many times during the day because there are different experiences. If you see the first lights, in the morning is one thing. In the afternoon, the colors, how he played with colors and light is terrific.
And then you see how the city adopted it, like on the, when you're on Gran Via exiting Barcelona, you have the different panels. But it's the way you described also the fact that Gaudi, worked with knowing that he will not see. And most cathedral, it has an element of, like I'm geeking out now, but like science fiction. It's a bit of interstellar. In this.
Absolutely.
Like he left something for us that we are now starting to detect and understand.
And we are now working on something that will be, generations from now, we're not going to be there.
Exactly.
And some people will enjoy this masterpiece.
But that's amazing. And
I think for me as an outsider, because yesterday I spent the whole day just walking. And each zone bleeds into the next one to the next one. And you kind of leisurely are able to see the differences of pace and what's out there and of community. But the thing that's homogenous to me my journey culminated in San Pao. So what the thorough line for my walking was that Barcelonians, regardless of what generation they architected or built or expanded, they care about the future of civics and how people of present and tomorrow come together in these spaces. It's very loving.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everywhere in the world, and you told us not to compare, so I say this with a little bit of a, fear, but it's so much around the experience of everybody and how everybody shares in space. Yeah. And I'm curious, maybe, is that something you carry in your communications work being Barcelonian? I know we tried to touch upon what is the stamp of Barcelona that you bring. I'm curious if that's something that you feel and
you got a point.
Conscious of.
What I love from Barcelona is that it's a walkable city. It's big, but not too big. There are cars, but it's not a city, just for cars. It's more for pedestrians. So being in a city that can be walked means that people can meet, and can walk together. So when you take a car or whatever other means of transport, you're kind of isolated in a place. When you walk around, you meet people, you see people. So one thing that for me it's very important about this, maybe Mediterranean culture, not only Barcelona, is the family, that people gather together and many different generations talk around the table for hours.
Yes.
Some of the people in other countries, just grab something, eat quickly and just move on. We love, sitting at the table, talking with grandpas and kids and everyone. So generations together talking with, no time limits is something that maybe has influenced a lot our work, having meaningful conversations, talking about what makes sense for you and really, understanding and listening to people. So in my opinion, when it comes to organizations, the health of an organization is how much it is able to have true conversations and recognize people and acknowledge their effort and listen to them. And a lot of organizations do not talk. Right. How can be people engaged if they don't talk? And especially Gen Z, they don't want to talk. They want to influence the organization. So if the organization is deaf and it doesn't listen, these people cannot be engaged because it's like, listen to me, I want to make my point here. I want to have an influence on the things we do. So we need healthy, conversative organizations, and maybe this flavor of Barcelona of people talking a lot in bars, in squares, in the street, walking together. Maybe this is an answer to your very, very good question.
I mean, that's one also, another tradition.
So you got to the answer. Very good.
We did.
And another
no
tradition.
Cliffhangers here on the Sprezzatura podcast.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of the other tradition that's very important in Barcelona, which is the vermouth. Also like it's intangible to say like a vermouth. It's not only the drink; it's the act of sitting around, during happy hour. You can't you can't do that on Fridays when you're learning.
Yeah.
So how do you compensate?
I do it afterwards, after learning.
Which is also
I finish 8:00, so it's still okay. We have very late hours here. We have dinner very late and everything very late. And this is also sometimes, harming a bit the productivity because we have so long hours that it's like no hassle, right? But then you work very long hours. Yeah. So we should maybe be more Europeans in that sense and work a bit less hours, more concentrated, and then have time for family and, some spare time. But yes, this vermouth, this, just sitting around with friends, chatting. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Just meeting people and talking in a business meeting, even in a business meeting, you cannot come and, hi, hello, let's talk about, no, you just say hello and how was the weekend, if it's Monday, or how are you? So a bit of, this, it's not small talk. It's a social talk. You have to know how people enter the room, in what mood, how they are to start, conversation.
And we were talking about Gen Z and then Gen Alpha. So let's look a little bit at the future. Things are changing very fast. You're taking the course on AI now.
Yeah.
And you have your daughter who will
10 years old.
10 years from now, she will be entering the workforce.
Yeah.
Or not, because we don't know what the workforce will look like or if there will be work. What is your thinking around that? What you can share from that course as well?
My thinking, when I think about my daughter, I always tell her, we don't know what you will be in the future. We don't know what skills you will need in the future, but for sure what you need is self-esteem and curiosity. So you need to be open to learn new things, to, ask a lot of questions. So what I try to do with her is travel a lot. I think it's the best learning you can have in life. Just travel, meet a lot of people, see a lot of different things. So we travel a lot, we read a lot, and I try to have her enjoy school, which she does a lot. She enjoys very much. And I tell her she is good if she wants to be, right?
Yeah.
So just pick the thing that you really like, you feel you're good at, and you have to trust yourself and, just, work on your self-esteem. So this imposter syndrome, we have a lot of women who have to let it out. So I tried to tell her she's good in whatever she chooses, she wants to do. So yeah, self-esteem, curiosity, very important. And I think the future, some people just, draw a dystopic future. I tend to be very optimistic. So of course we have a huge climate challenge, and this cannot be overseen. But I love a book which is Factfulness. And it tells that, the present now is the best, time of the whole mankind. So if the present time is the best we had until now, even if we have wars and we have a lot of uncertainty and we have a lot of, and of course climate change aside, I think the future will be better, and I think we'll be wise enough to save the nature, to protect the planet, and to think of a way where we humans can live, in this planet without, of course, just killing ourselves, because the planet will exist on, but just if we have a place here or not. So I think we will not be so mad as to destroy, even the Sagrada Familia. Just imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very reassuring perspective.
I'm a realistic optimistic. So I try to be very optimistic, but working hard to make my little part happen. But yeah, I don't like dystopic futures about everything is, so bad and we will have no future and there will be no work in the future and artificial intelligence will kill work. No, artificial intelligence will not kill jobs. As, when we started printing books, it didn't kill creativity.
Right.
It's just another technology, is another way to kind of democratize knowledge that we have to know very well how to use and how distribute what it brings. This is a thing. Social distribution of, knowledge and property and richness. This is an important issue that we have to tackle in the future and now. But I don't think the future will be horrible. Otherwise, we wouldn't have kids. We wouldn't bring kids to the world. And we thought we bring them to a horrible place.
Definitely. I liked your two antidotes to, the uncertainty of the future, which one was curiosity and the second was to foster self-esteem for the young people. Are there any other kind of antidotes that you want us as a humanity or as a generation to continue injecting into our work and our family lives and things?
For me, a very important word is empathy. Empathy is not only understanding people's feelings, but feeling with them, connecting to how they feel. And this word is very important because if we do not, for example, a lot of people now get mad about ideas or fight about a lot of things. But if you do not understand that their opinion is their, is their truth, and it's okay for them, you have another one, fine. You just conversate and you just, discuss about things. But do not get mad about other people thinking differently or having different ideas. It's not, because people evolve, right? So it's just a state of mind now, but it can be different in the future. So if you don't kind of see the other person really, you cannot influence or you cannot have, a healthy conversation. So empathy is very important. And I see now a lot of people kind of very concentrated. I'm right, they are wrong. Who's right or wrong? just listen or just have, a healthy conversation and try to find out why they think like this. So, for example, now we see a lot of people voting things that you think, but how could they? Well, just make the right question here.
Right.
Just try to understand what's happening, because otherwise, just being mad at what people think or vote, you will not solve anything. So empathy is very important too.
Definitely. I come from not both of your worlds, right? Technology, but transportation. And from what I understand of the communications world, what I'm learning and what's the popular kind of talk from your side is, in order to have your brand stand out, your story stand out, to come through all of the information and the muddle and the chitter chatter of everybody else's conversation, you have to do something bold, in contrast, have a definitive opinion. And I find that interesting that you, as a leader in the comm space, are saying, well, everyone's opinion matters. Everyone's story should be heard and listened to. So how do you kind of, at the end of the day, create a very strong brand conversation and defined perspective that still has empathy with it, that says, this is our brand and our story, and these are our values and what we, what like to define, or how we like to define ourselves in the world, but also there's space for everyone to join us?
Well, difficult question. I think there are many different things here. For me, a brand is a statement, right? And it has a personality. And the specific personality is not meant to please everyone, right? But it's meant to have a meaning, to have, a sense of living. So when you have a meaning, a commitment, a purpose, and you are authentic with that, you can have a community around of people who have similar interest or are attracted by your proposal. But it's not everyone. You cannot please everyone. You don't do a communication to just, for everyone. You need to have a niche of people you're talking to, and from that niche on, grow. So for me, very important is kind of have a specific positioning. Another important thing with brands, and you said something that's very important. Now in communication, people want to be bold, singular, special, super relevant. But then a lot of brands do a lot of things only to have an impact, only to have a share of voice. But they forget who they are, and they only want, to kind of do something extraordinary or bold to gain attention. But this attention, if it's fake, it has, it has no roots. And then we are creating a lot of brands that maybe have a lot of exposure, but that really lose their meaning. So for me, being bold is okay if you do not lose your meaning, your purpose, your authenticity. If we have to choose, I prefer purpose than boldness, right? So being true to something, being, kind of having, when you create a story, this story has to be coherent. And it doesn't mean it has to be rigid. It can change a lot, evolve a lot, have different times. But the whole story itself, from the beginning until the end, it's understandable. And today, a lot of companies are doing a very tactical communication just to stand out, just to, hit the headlines. And this is not sustainable.
Right.
So we need to kind of balance authenticity, purpose, and having, a true positioning with the fact that how you do the things is relevant and has a share of voice, and people talk about this, but not losing meaning. So boldness, sometimes, if it loses, the roots, is dangerous. And a lot of people are doing this kind of communication today. Just short-term communication, very tactical communication.
And again, as someone who's not an expert in your field, just from a consumer perspective, it gets exhausting because you see it and you feel that inauthenticity. And something we spoke about is with the, kind of regurgitation of information and messaging with AI and bots and agents in the future. Where do you see brands kind of adopting the technology? And where do you see them kind of adding still that human flavor to their initiatives and to their messaging? Or are you maybe worried that everybody,
Do we have to choose? Do we have to choose? Cannot
I wouldn't know.
technology be human? So the thing is, a lot of brands now are having what I say a TikTok communication. You know, very quick. It doesn't matter if people remember it or not, but just quick, impact, and then you forget. But we have a very quick, choice. We have, sales going up very quickly and then down very quickly as well. So if we do this TikTok communication, people are not loyal to anything, just to the impact, to the short term, right? And we do not create this, for me, this critical thinking of people. So you can choose TikTok communication and just have very quick sales one day, and the rest of the days people will not remember you. Or you can have a more steady, coherent and profound communication, creating a community and making it grow with, of course, very singular and original communication, but connected to who you are and what you really are, not only opportunity. So we have to balance opportunity with and singularity with your roots, with your essence, with your brand. And technology is always, for me, and you were talking about means of transport, a mean of transport is a channel. But the most important thing is the message. I mean, message is king.
Yes.
This is still, true. It doesn't matter if the message is sent, just face to face through a conversation or by social media or in any, And communication today is omni-channel. And you also have to create a way that you can express your story in a frame, in just a photograph, in a short video, in a, conversation, a longer conversation, in many different, places and spaces. But we need to create omni-channel communication so that your story is valid and relevant in different,
And meets the person regardless of their generation with the same message.
Of course, generations have sometimes different codes of communication. So the story doesn't necessarily need to change, but sometimes coding, yes.
Yeah.
So if you talk to Gen Z, you cannot talk to them from an X perspective. I cannot tell them, you should do that. What? Who are you to tell me what I should do? It's just, bringing them with opportunities, possibilities, letting them choose and letting them be the ones who prescribe what they choose. So they are very much connected to peer-to-peer, prescription, not brands or governments or journalists, or they need peer-to-peer communication. But within, the Gen Z generation, you have people who are very much connected to other generations, and that can influence, what they think. And you have people who kind of move the state of mind of this generation. So knowing how to tackle them by not telling them what to do, but by listening to them and adjusting your communication is very interesting. But you really need to listen more than talk when you talk to them.
So, I think there is the challenge for us as creatives is how do we, because the world is not only Gen Z, so we still have to market to millennials and to Gen X's and to boomers,
Baby
etc.
boomers, yeah.
So how do you speak the same message in different languages, sometimes even in the same frame, as you said? But another universal language is music.
Yep.
And this is our way to conclude the episode by asking you about one song, one tune that helps you during your day, whether it is to concentrate or to uplift you or to wake you up or to get you to sleep. Can you pick a song and we're going to play it for our audience?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what a question. One very, for me, very important thing about music, when I hear what my daughter hears, which I love the music she listens to. A lot of her music is music from our age, remastered.
Yeah.
So, I tell her, look at, this song now and listen to my song, 40 years ago, 35 years ago. It's the same. It comes from the same root, same music. So music evolves a lot, but still remains with, I love all kinds of music. As I told you, I love Ed Sheeran or, Weekend or, Miley Cyrus or whatever my daughter listens to. But when I really need to concentrate, or when I'm a bit nervous about something, or I have a song, I love opera. I've been working with Jose Carreras for 10 years, and I love opera by heart since I was a little kid. So Casta Diva, the aria, is a song that really kind of, when I'm a bit anxious or whatever happens to me,
Do we want
that
it
I'm
with
kind
Jose
of...
Carreras or Maria Callas is good
No,
enough
Maria
for us?
Callas. Carreras doesn't sing soprano. Maria Callas is a great, great song. This song really puts me at peace, connects to, grounds me.
How beautiful.
And it's a perfect finish for this amazing episode. Thank you, Cristina.
Thank you.
It
It
was
was
a
a pleasure.
pleasure.
Christina, it was so wonderful getting a master class
No
on
way.
communications from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radin, and thanks for our audience. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima.
Hasta la próxima.
Thank you.